All right, everybody, we'd like to welcome you out tonight to our Q Sciences product call. Every Thursday at 7 o'clock we have a product call. Tonight we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Stephen Kimberley. He's our Chief Science Officer. He's been with us from the beginning, very knowledgeable, just an awesome guy to learn from. And tonight we have a unique call that I think will help a lot of our IBOs. And if you're new to the call, I think this will be a great chance for you to be able to learn about some questions that Dr. Kimberley has been receiving. We have an email that you can ask questions. It's called AskTheDoctors@QScience.com, and as Dr. Kimberley and myself have been emailing back and forth preparing for this call, he's thought of a lot of the questions, concerns about the product, reasons why people can't take it, and he's going to help us out and address these tonight with us. And so, Dr. K, if you're there, I'm going to go ahead and turn this call over to you and let you kind of share your knowledge with us in the field. So,
great. Thank you, Gentry. Well, as you know, at Q Sciences, we really strive to make things easier for our IBOs because, you're so important to the success of this company and the success of our dreams. And that means keeping you informed and really on top of all the issues and the obstacles that you are likely to encounter as you spread the word. There are all kinds of situations that can come up, and I'm going to give you some insight into some of the things I hear about a lot and also some general tips for how to deal with specific situations or general situations. And, I don't know of any other supplement company that offers a service like Ask the Docs. And you people have been great. You haven't abused it at all. For the most part, the questions I get are great, are very reasonable and appropriate. And, sometimes it's clear that people are... somebody may have a particular opinion or issue that can be straightened out pretty easily just by my thinking about it for a bit and responding. I found that those of us who take and distribute and produce nutraceuticals, are as a lot very intelligent, inquisitive, informed, and at the same time misinformed. That's just, the Internet has really changed things, and there's such a tremendous amount of misinformation out there that it's a wonder that anybody who doesn't have a lot of specific training is able to make any sense out of it, and I know you know this is true. Combine that intelligence, that inquisitiveness with some strong opinions, and you've got a lot of energy to harness. And, it's kind of our job to move people along the path of understanding so that they can really know how to use our products to their best advantage and to understand how they fit into their lives. Our job as a team is to provide the absolute best, most ingenious products available. And we really rely on you to communicate all of this to your friends and clients. And, we certainly do what we can with the website and all these other features to assist you in that task, but it's no small task. As we all have we have a pretty full product suite now, so there are a lot of products, and the information can get complicated and overwhelming at times. So, first of all, bear in mind that there are all types of situations. Each individual, each of us has a somewhat unique genetic and biochemical makeup. And how we respond to everything in our environment is determined by those that particular footprint. And it can be said, however, that much of what people have heard or read on the Internet or even been told by their doctor may not be true and may include some false or incomplete and misleading information. And this can be very harmful. So I would urge anyone that comes at you with an idea out of left field, that they really research this, that it comes from a reliable source, or that you ask me. For example, Darren sent me an email the other day about somebody who said that they were suffering from depression because they had been told they had an excess of dopamine and adrenaline. As you know, that's exactly the opposite of what their case was, obviously. They had a deficiency of dopamine and adrenaline. But this just points out how easy it is to get things turned on their head and come up with a really wrong idea of what's really happening. So this person, of course, would benefit greatly from Q-Essentials. Q96 and the Q-Vitals are really going to boost their dopamine and adrenaline levels, and that's why we get such great results with depression and mood disorders. Now, I get a lot of questions about, and a lot of really misunderstanding about the fact that Q96 and our other products are not medications. They are supplements. They're very effective supplements. And however, many people come to the table expecting them to act like medication and to have the same issues with interactions, etc. And that's really not the case. Barring some unusual cases, you can take all of our products with any antidepressant, psychiatric meds like lithium, etc., and you're not going to have a problem. You're not going to have serotonin syndrome because our products do boost serotonin metabolism, but you're not going to get any danger of serotonin syndrome by mixing antidepressants in our products. Now, the herbs in Q-Vitals and Q-Essentials do enhance serotonin metabolism and self-regulation. So the amino acids in Q96 and Q-Vitals provide this, what we call substrate or precursors for adrenaline and dopamine. And using them that way, the body can regulate the hormone levels because it has the fuel to make those. Now, there's one situation that you should be aware of, and you're going to get people who are bipolar, and some of those people, in fact, may also have schizophrenia. And if you have someone, and this case has come up a couple of times, who is having auditory hallucinations, in other words, hearing voices, that is one situation where they really shouldn't be taking our products. They can take some of our products, but not Q-Essentials, not Q96, just because the added mental stimulation of those products may worsen their schizophrenic symptoms. Now, I'm telling you this because there are quite a few people who have bipolar disorder and schizophrenia who blame all their symptoms on the bipolar disorder, when in fact they have schizophrenia, which is a very different situation. I just want you to be a little cautious in that regard. Now, phenylketonuria is the only other real physical contraindications or condition contraindications. And I was reading the statistics I wrote for WebMD, and there are, for every 1 million people in the United States, 50 of those have PKU. So that's pretty rare. And I seriously doubt you're going to actually run into any of those, but since 1965, we have been testing for that at birth. So everyone born after that date will already know they have PKU. And so that's really not going to be an issue, but it may come up because some people do have the PKU trait, and those individuals might be a little more sensitive to the phenylalanine, but in most cases they would tolerate it no problem. Certainly if they have PKU trait and they're aware of it, I would limit their Q96 to 4 capsules a day and no more. Now, I get a lot of questions about hormone levels, and whether it's women who have an issue with PMS or menopause or they're taking hormones. Those situations are perfectly all right with Q-Essentials. And because the hormone levels are not changed by our products. Estrogen, progesterone, even testosterone, those levels are not changed. But the hormone sensitivity does change through the receptors. So you can take, our products with hormones if you're taking hormones, whether they be bioidentical or pharmaceutical hormones, without any concern. Now, and this goes for antidepressants and other psychiatric meds too. If you're taking our products and you find that you no longer need the same dose of the antidepressant, well then by all means, taper, and if you can get off of it, more power to you. Micronutrient support can help you with some of that process, but basically it's not a cookbook process, and it's one that you need to discuss with your doctor, and you need to gauge by your symptoms, how you feel. If you say, I'm feeling great, I don't need this Prozac anymore, or I think I can cut down to 10 milligrams a day, then great, go for it. Now, another situation are allergies. Now, ginkgo, which is in Q96, occasionally causes allergic reactions. And that would be in the form of a rash, and it might be a pretty severe rash, but it's more than just a little hives would be the most common reaction. And again, this is very rare, but it's something to be aware of. And later on, I'll tell you about how to deal with a possible allergy. Now, Darren sent me a question the other day about someone who's concerned about bleeding, potentially bleeding, because I think they were going to have some surgery or giving birth, and about the ginkgo. Because ginkgo is listed as a blood thinner. Now, ginkgo will never cause bleeding on its own. And if you took massive amounts of ginkgo, it may thin your blood a little bit if you're taking blood thinners already. But if you're taking warfarin, or Coumadin, which is the only blood thinner that it would possibly be a concern with, you should be testing your blood every 2 weeks to make sure that your bleeding time is right. So you would just adjust as you go along. That being said, the amount of ginkgo in Q96 is not enough to cause any blood thinning. And there are about 200 different herbs that are classified as blood thinners. And these are what are called theoretical reactions because they just literally never happen in real life, but because of the chemical structure and some of the components, they're viewed as blood thinners. But everything from dandelions down the line is lumped into that category. But not anything to be concerned about. Again, this was somebody who was looking at information, and some of that might be from WebMD or some other, reputable source, and that's just listed as one of the issues. The same way a pregnancy warning would be issued or whatever, even though there are no real studies showing that it would be a problem with any of them. It's all theoretical. Now, if an individual has kidney or liver disease, and I'm talking about, pretty severe significant kidney or liver disease, I would say avoid taking more than 4 capsules of Q96. Some people take, up to 12, 16 capsules of Q96. And if they have kidney or liver disease, I would say, moderate that. They could take Q-Essentials, which has 4 capsules, and they would do just fine, unless their doctor has specifically limited them for some reason. Now, an issue that comes up from time to time is that of the other ingredients that are listed on Q96. And I went through my laboratory where I have literally probably 100 bottles of supplements. And every single combination supplement had some combination of magnesium stearate, silicone dioxide, or titanium oxide. And that is because these are really kind of required to produce the products the way we do. Now, Q96 has 36 different ingredients. So if you put those ingredients in a bowl and tried to mix them up, it would be a mess. And to try and put that mess into capsules that are perfectly correct in terms of dosage for each capsule requires what we call flow enhancers. And magnesium stearate and silicone dioxide are flow enhancers. Now, magnesium stearate is a naturally occurring compound. We source it naturally. It is not toxic. But if you go on Wikipedia, they will say, well, it's a carcinogen. And, it's really not. What they're saying is that at huge, huge doses, literally thousands of times, what you'd have in a whole bottle of Q96, over many months, given to a mouse, laboratory rat, they might have a little higher rate of certain kinds of cancer. Not a concern at all. This stuff is in every supplement, combination supplement you have taken, most likely. It's in your food. It's in cookies. It's just around, and it's really not harmful. It's just a combination of a fatty acid and magnesium. Now, silicone dioxide is just an oxidized form of silica, and silica is the most abundant mineral in the Earth's crust. And this also is in many, many of the foods we eat, and really is necessary to get the ingredients to flow together to mix so that we can produce Q96 capsules that are correct. Now, these ingredients are going to be in both the vegan and the non-vegan forms of Q96. Now, titanium oxide is used in the capsule form of Q96 in, a minute, nanoparticle dosage. And the reason for it is that it is what gives the white color to the capsule, and so you can't see through it. Now, you need to understand that if you take all the ingredients in Q96 and you let it sit for a week or two, some of those ingredients are going to turn tan and some will stay white. And so the result is a very sort of unappetizing speckled capsule. And that just doesn't fly with people because they think, well, maybe it's out of date when it's really not out of date. So the titanium oxide is really necessary in the capsular form. Now, 90% of that titanium is not absorbed by your intestine. And the same goes for silicone dioxide and magnesium stearate. Much of it is not absorbed. And any amount that is absorbed has no toxicity, literally. So But every once in a while, we get someone who just hones in on the fact that there are these extra ingredients. They go, they Google them, and they come up with these concerns which really are not founded in fact when you look at them realistically. Now, on the aminos, I had somebody the other day say, the aminos are, you could get all these amino acids in an egg. And that's true for the most part. But you would not get the particular balance of those amino acids with those vitamins in a form that you could take with a glass of water and get all those benefits. And that's, to me, is the biggest benefit of these aminos. It's a great combination, it's a great balance, and you can take them any time. So if I'm rushing from one thing to the other, and I had breakfast a couple hours ago, but I'm feeling a little stressed, I'll take 2 of those aminos, and it settles me right down. And so that's the time to do it between meals, again, because you want full absorption. Now, in addition, absorbing these aminos takes zero energy, really. They just go right through your intestinal wall into your bloodstream, and it's just, very, very clean, very low energy, whereas digested egg, of course, takes significantly more energy and does not have the same effect. Now, one more item about the sleep spray. Now, the sleep spray has a warning on it. It says it should not be used in children or during pregnancy. And that is an industry standard, so it's something that we really need to have on the container. But you are, of course, free to use this sleep spray and all of our other products as you choose. They're not regulated, and we just put that warning there because it's the industry standard. And we're somewhat limited in what we can recommend, but I would say that if you do use it in children under age 13 or during pregnancy, limit it to those people with a severe, a real need for a sleep aid, and then only a few times a week and not every night. So with kids, you kind of need to set their expectations and say, I'm going to give it to you tonight because you haven't been able to get to sleep, but we just use it when you really need it. Now, I'm going to go over some problem-solving steps when somebody comes to you with a symptom. I know we've all experienced this. You hand somebody Q96 or Essentials or the spray, and in a few days they come back to you and they say, my left foot has been itching, and I'm convinced that it's due to that stuff you gave me. Now, when you're confronted with this kind of situation, the best thing to do is to sit down with the person and think logically about it. If they're having a simple upset stomach or nausea related to taking Q96 or Q-Essentials on an empty stomach, just tell them that it's best to take it with meals in their case because their stomach may be a little more sensitive than other people. If they're having trouble getting to sleep at night, make sure that they're not taking their Q-Essentials right before bed and that they're waiting, taking it at least 4 to 6 hours before bedtime because, they're stimulating. Then ask them if they've changed anything else in their life. They've changed the dosage of another medication, or if they're going through something like a relationship or a job issue, and that it's making them, have more difficulty sleeping. If they develop a rash or hives or other potentially allergic reaction, the best thing to do is to have them stop use immediately until their symptoms go away. So somebody starts taking Q96, and a week later, they get hives. Thing to do is tell them to stop and wait until the rash goes away and then restart at as low a dose as possible. And with Q96, that'd be one pill. If they're taking Q Essentials, you can start with Q96 if they tolerate that. Then you can go up to the Q Vitals, etc. But it's very unlikely that any of these products are going to cause allergic reactions of significance. That being said, there are those situations, so that's the best way to handle it. If they're, really having severe hives or whatever, naturally tell them to go see their doctor and start taking antihistamines because that's specific for hives. Lastly, I'd like to talk about, again, managing expectations. Remember, we're all different, and not everybody reacts the same way to our products or any product for that reason, that matter. People who've been depressed for years sometimes hope, certainly, and expect that, all their issues are going to resolve after a few days of taking Q96 or Q Essentials. And, in that case, it's best to have them, take stock of their situation and maybe not expect miracles right out of the bat, but that to stick with it. And, again, there are many who do notice, a resolution of their depression symptoms in a very short time after taking our products. We do very well. And, just remind them that this is a process. And even for those people who say, boy, I've been taking Q Essentials now for a month. I don't really notice any difference. Remind them that they are benefiting in many, many ways from reducing the risk for major medical conditions, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and slowing or reversing the aging process in the heart and the brain. So, and I also find that most of the people who say they don't notice a difference generally are those who feel pretty great to begin with. And another test is to say, well, stop taking them for a couple weeks and see if you notice a difference, and then start them again. It's always a good way to gauge the effects and the benefits. But, that being said, there are some who just kind of don't feel much difference to anything. Remind those that they're still benefiting, even if they don't seem to notice.
All right. Go ahead.
Do you have any questions?
I don't. That is a very informative call and a lot of great things you've answered, and I hope for the field that everybody's been able to write down some of these answers that you've given. And like Dr. Kimberley said, make sure that you ask these questions if you come across people who have concerns, and make sure that we get those addressed, because like you said, this product is for everybody. We want to make sure that everybody's happy and healthy, and our purpose here at Q Sciences is to make that possible, be able to share the product and help others. And just, it's so great to have Dr. Kimberley and our medical board and be able to have these doctors on hand with us to do these product calls and share their knowledge and help us understand better of how we can share it with other people and what works best. So just like we say here at Q Sciences, the purpose of life is to be happy, and our purpose here is to make that possible for you. So let's go ahead and end this call tonight, and everybody go and have a great rest of the evening and a great rest of the week, and let's cue it up, everybody.